Hello guys, this is Factory, Lekanda and Dad Jokes here. Today we present you our Handtrap tier list for the new format after the Banlist.
Yeah, so like I said, we're just gonna do. Well, let's start with Ash. Ash is, I think, is the most played and the most versatile hand trap currently, and also the best
Yeah,
because it can stop pretty much every deck in some sort of way.
so for us it's a must play Handtrap. So then we move on to Cycle Reader. Cycle Reader for us is a rather not because Tritron got hit very hard on the Banlist and we think it's still a very good deck, but it's not like the best deck in the format right now. Maybe if the new Xyz comes out, but that will take a while. So at the moment, it's just not that good as it was before.
Yeah, it just depends on how Drytron evolves. If it comes back up, yeah, it's gonna move up a tier or two, but right now it's more rather not.
Yes. Then we have the DD Crow.
DD Crow, I would say, is situational because it's the hand trap's good, but it's not the best. It does something, but it's not it's like Ash. It's a low impact hand trap, but it works against most decks right now.
But it's not as good as Ash, we would say.
Yeah, because Ash is way more versatile because you can Ash to Red Eyes Fusion, which just stops a whole turn for most decks.
Yes. Then we go to Droll. Droll is a very good hand trap in the format right now.
Agreed with the most two prominent decks being Shadow and Dragon Link. It shuts down pretty much Dragon Link. It stops them from adding, so you won't get Levineer. They won't get the value out of Brotar or Godreg. If they start with like Chamber, they'll just get the trap but no boot sector, which means they can't further extend their combo.
Yes. And for example, if you play a Invoke Dogmatica Shadow, if they start with Meltdown and you give them Droll, they cannot use a potential Servant or potential Alistair in hand, so it has some very good appliance in the format right now.
It's also pretty good if they start with Servant and they send Epicalone. Then you can just Epicalone 1 and you can go draw Chainlink 2.
Yes. Then we have the Effect Whaler. Effect Whaler is a red or not.
Mm-hmm. Right, Effect Whaler is too weak in my opinion, or like we have Imperm, which is way better and doesn't play into talents, and you can use it all the time instead of just the opponent's main phase.
Yes. It could be okay if your strategy needs, like if you play Celine or something, but when you don't play a strategy that needs Effect Whaler, it's not that great in the format.
Except if we come back to a format where you need a lot of single target negation, Veiler's gonna become way more prominent right now. But for right now, I think it's rather not. I would rather play Imperm than Veiler.
Yes, then we have, let's see, we have Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched was really good last format because you had some really good control decks running in the format.
Right now against Shadow, it's also a blowout card, so I think it's just depending on how the meta evolves. Because Dragon Link, it's dead because they have Savage to negate. But for Shadow, it's pretty good. So I would say it's either situational, depending on how the meta shifts.
Yeah, it's between situational or very good.
But I don't think it's main deck worthy.
Yeah,
I think
maybe
it's
in the
just
side deck, like if you
side
like
deck
this
for sure.
card. Then we have the Gamma. The Gamma was, like, in the past formats was always a really good hand trap, and it's
No,
still very good in this format, we guess.
the only downside is that you have to play Driver, which
Yes.
is only a downside if it's a brick for you. For example, Dragon Link, it's not a brick because you can just use it as fodder for like Chaos Space or Levineer and stuff.
Yes. Then we have Ghost Spell. Ghost Spell is still very good because it hits like the Nadir Servant, the Sanguine, and and some other cards like
Also,
Schism.
Schism if they don't have Meltdown.
Yes, so we think it's a very good card. Maybe the only downside is that it negates the activation. So if they have a second servant in hand, yeah, it was not a good trade. But
Also, you can shut down World Legacy Guard Dragon, which is like the best extender for Dragon Link.
yes. Then we have Ghost Mourner. Ghost Mourner is a rather not for me.
For me as well.
It didn't have appliance in the last format and in this before. So yeah, we think it's still not a very good hand trap.
It's the same as Veiler. If you need more single target negation, it's gonna become more prominent. Or if you go into longer games, where you can just because in late game, if you play tournament rules with 40 minutes instead of 50, which we do currently for remote stuff, it's gonna be way better because it's more than it's then like a gamma because the card is just dead. You can't use it, otherwise you will lose in time.
Yes. Then we have Ghost Sisters. We think that Ghost Sisters maybe has some hidden potential. If your deck doesn't need the extra deck, you can shut down the important. You can take out the important combo pieces from your opponent.
I think like dinos, you could play it and just put in one Dragoon and then shut down most of the trap Dragoon decks.
Yes.
Because they can lose half their engine.
But we think the card is the best in a deck where you really don't need your extra deck, because if you have like 2 slots or something, you can only fit in like 1 card. So we think it has to be played in a deck where you don't need your extra deck.
Agreed.
Then we have Ghost Sisters. Ghost Sisters says if your opponent special summons, you can discard this card, and for every special summon, you get the life points of the special summoned monster's attack.
Feel like it's pretty useless, not gonna lie.
Yes.
Because I've seen once at locals, I've seen a guy use it against when Emancipator was in the deck, in the format, and he went up all the way to like 30k health, which is a lot, but 2 days, the thing was he couldn't break the board, so 2 turns later he was dead anyway.
Yeah. Maybe you could play it in a Dark Lord, but Dark Lord is not a good deck right now. Then we have the Gnome material. Gnome material for us has also a hidden potential.
Agreed, because it's probably like Shifter. You can compare most to Shifter. If you use it right, it just stops a turn right there. But
yeah.
Otherwise, it's if you top deck it or something like that, in a grind game, it's pretty bad because you can't really use it.
Yes, and you also have to know the combo path of your opponent, so you know which card to shut down.
Exactly.
Then we have the Imperm. Imperm moved back from rather not in the last format to very good.
Because we don't, like most of the combo decks don't combo in the hand anymore. They start comboing on the field, so we can use Imperm again. And also, it's good when you draw it and go second. It's also good when you go first and draw, because you can set it and block and use it for plays to block out certain, for example, punishment.
And you don't play into triple tactics talent.
Yep, that's another reason.
And your opponent can't do anything they cannot call by or something. So yeah, we think it's a very good hand trap, this format. Then we have the Lancia. Lancia is a very good hand trap because it shuts down some meta decks like Dinos, like the invoked part from Shadows.
And also you can stop Shadows invoked, and you can stop the Ariel, which stops you from losing your resources.
Yes, and also maybe PK, if PK gets into the format, because some PK players are grinding on DB right now.
So I would say it's either very good or must play, depending on how the format changes.
Yes. Then we have Zephyr. Zephyr didn't see play in the top deck lists from the last big tournaments, but we think it can have some hidden potential if a new deck comes into the format where where they have a really good boss mons because you can't respond on the activation, I guess.
Yep. So depending on how the meta shifts or how it evolves, this can have a lot of hidden potential.
Yeah, the only downside is that like you can't hit Dragon Link at the moment. Like you can only weak their end board by negate a Savage Dragon or something. But you can't hit the combo pieces of D-Link.
Then for the next card, Nibiru, I would say it's either must play or very good, depending on how it switches. Because if it's combo focused, it's going to be a must play. But if it's more Shadow, it's pretty much dead.
Yeah, and especially if the invoked engine is played, so like Mecha buff worth summon, and you can't nib anymore.
And also against Dinos, it's pretty dead because you can just go heavy red misc. Then it's pretty dead.
Then we have Ogre.
Ogre is situational, I would say. It's depending on how the meta evolves. Because against certain decks, it's super good.
Yes, it can hit like Dragon Link at some points.
Also Schism, you can hit Schism.
Yes.
Which is super good.
Then we have Fantasma. Fantasma is in between situational and very good. Depends where the format shifts.
Yeah, Fantasma is just is the best friend of Nib or Lancia. So I would say if you play Fanta, you need to play other high impact in traps that don't need a empty board, because then you can make the most of it. Because a lot of times it just digs for another hand trap, which has more impact than himself.
Yes, and especially against Dragon Link, where they have like 3 Link monsters on field, you draw like 4 new cards, and then you can fix your hand or make it even better to go when you go in second.
Yep, that's true.
Then we have Retaliating C. Retaliating C is a really interesting card, and we think it has some really good hidden potential.
I saw this card first on the OCG list of Zodiac. But the only downside we have to this card right now is we don't have Max C. Otherwise, you could start searching for Max C with this card as soon as it leaves the field.
Yes, and maybe you don't know what the card does. The card says if your opponent activates a spell card that specials from somewhere, you can special summon this card from your hand, and as long as it stays on the field, every card your opponent sends to the graveyard is banished instead, like Shifter says.
Yeah. Also, I think sometimes let me look up. I'm not sure. Can you also just normal summoning him and then use his? Can you also just normal summon him? Give me one sec, because that
Dad
would.
Jokes will check. I move on to Shifter. Shifter is if you can play the card in your deck, like you don't need your graveyard, it's a must play because it shuts down like every combo deck and like every deck in the format right now, I guess. But when you can play it, you can play. But if you can play it, it's a really must play.
Yeah, it's either the best or worst hand trap. The problem if you sit in starting hand, it just wins games by himself. That's what I've noticed with Zodiac. But if you top deck him,
yeah, it really
especially
sucks.
rank him, he's bad because you can't even normal set him just to pause the turn or survive the turn and draw into another combo piece or Sue. My example. And also for follow up on Retaliating C, he only works that way if he's special summoned by his own effect.
Yes. And then for the last hand trap, we have Skullmeister. Skullmeister is still a very good card because it hits like every deck a bit.
Yeah, the only thing it's dead against, it's against D-Link, but against Dinos it's super strong because you can just hit Misk, and also against Shadow because you can just hit the graveyard effects from triggering.
Yes. So this is our tier list of the hand traps for the March Banlist format. We hope you enjoy and hope to see you next time.
Have a nice one, guys. Bye.